All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 7 and stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, amendments to the agenda? Any amendments needed? No minutes. All right, appointment with school administration. I'm actually going to hand the meeting over to Jeff so he can run this part of the meeting. So I don't have to, I'm going to recuse myself from this portion of the agenda.
So appointment with school administration on the playground closure. Where do we want to start with that?
Do you want me to give just a brief synopsis, and then the superintendent is here. I believe she has some things to say as well.
Sure.
So the school admin contacted last year. In fact, they contacted the town and was wondering about closing the playground behind the school during school hours as a safety precaution for.
Can we shut that door? So thank you.
As a safety precaution for the children on that playground. We do have residents that use the playground during the day, during school hours, whether it be adults playing tennis, chipping golf balls in the back 40, or moms with their children on the playground equipment. And that was the request.
Anything to add?
Yeah, so we just believe, and hi everyone, I'm Brooke Olson-Farrell, I'm the superintendent in Slate Valley, and Devin Furno wanted to be here tonight, the principal, but she was unable to. I just wanted to add that it just puts our staff in a really awkward spot when there's individuals on the playground close to our students, and our staff is asking why they're there, or what, because sometimes we have people that aren't following the rules down there, such as, they could be using foul language in the presence of our kids, or just instances like that. Most of the people that, do use the playground during school hours, are, very well behaved, and we don't have concerns. However, we don't know their background. I mean, anybody that interacts with our kids during the school day has to have a background check. And so it's just a safety concern for us. And in fact, the gentleman who's shipping golf balls, Joe, we just found out this week that he's actually a Rutland resident, not even a Fairhaven resident. So I just think there are some concerns, and so we're just asking during the school day if it could just be used for our school children at Fairhaven Grade School after school hours, whatever. But we just do think it's a safety concern. We have had people camping out in the dugouts down there, and it puts my school staff in a vulnerable position.
Any other comments or questions from the board or town manager?
If I could, I've talked to the chief about this a few times, and the chief does agree with the school that to keep the gates closed and limit access to the playground during school hours is a good idea.
Just a question. So the gates are locked from dusk to dawn?
Just through school currently, or just during school?
I'm just trying the current situation of where we are. I understand the concern about if you have someone adults hitting golf balls, or teenagers or people down there during school hours, if they're misbehaving. I'm just trying to, your request, is it just to shut the gate and lock the gate, or is your request, because if we have a mother with children that aren't in kindergarten or grade school who want to use the playground, and you can easily park outside and go in, is it a no trespassing, no use, or is it just no driving into the back? What's the problem we're fixing?
So I think the request is that it would just be limited to the school's use during school hours.
Okay. Any other-
Well, so whose responsibility would it be to stop, like with young moms are a good example, them from going in there?
I mean,
Is
right
the
now
school
it's
gonna
falling,
report
it's
it,
falling
or-
to the school staff. I mean, we don't know the background of individuals, and so.
No, I understand that, I'm just wondering how you're going to, are you
Well,
going to
right now
enforce it, or
it's-
is the town responsible for that?
I mean, I would think it would be a partnership. Recently, we've had a couple of instances recently where the SRO was involved with those situations. I think it depends on the nature of the situation.
How are you handling them today?
So our school staff are going out and asking, the individual what, their business is there. I mean, we have individuals out there without shirts on, smoking on the grounds. I mean, it's, so, I think it's just a conversation that we're having.
I'm just getting
And
the
most
full,
people are very respectful and very understanding and actually thankful that, school staff are, looking into why someone is on the school grounds. But I don't want my school staff to have to say, oh, this person's okay and this person's not okay. I mean, that's not right either.
Did the chief have a suggestion for that?
For the
For
playground?
enforcing the,
Currently, the police chief is acting as kind of security, so when somebody calls, hey, we got a shirtless guy, police chief runs over and takes care of the shirtless guy. Typically, I asked him what the burden looked like, and it would be the same as it is now. School calls, police go over. So it's not an additional burden.
So, I'm just trying to get my hand around, we talk about the shutting and locking the gate, but it's really about a no trespassing during 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Right.
Isn't that really the,
During the week.
Yeah,
during the week? And the taxpayers that wanna use, say, we're putting, eventually that new playground's gonna get in.
well,
And we're gonna, and everything else, it's not to stop people from using the playground facilities in the, after 3 o'clock in the afternoon and until dark. What you're looking for is while school's in session,
Yeah.
no trespassing from anyone that isn't either
Right.
working for the school involved or attending the school. That's really what, is that what
Correct,
you're looking for?
Correct.
That makes it,
I have a question. I remember when we were raising money for the playground, and Joe mentioned that the school had the option to take over the playground and do the repairs and everything, and the school chose not to do it. So I don't understand why they could dictate a town playground, if they did have the option to take it over, which is what they want to do during the school days, is kind of concerning to me.
so I didn't hear him say they wanted to take it over.
no.
Well, I mean, close it to, a
Yeah.
play school can't bring the kids in to play. So
Yeah.
that is taking it over so that nobody can use it, is my,
Well, we were asked to take over the property, I mean, and we were told that there was no interest in that, so, I mean, I can't speak to what happened years ago, because I wasn't here.
Is this a policy or an ordinance that we're looking to enforce?
We would have to create an ordinance.
So this is creation of an ordinance.
We would create an ordinance making the playground open to, only used by the school during school days, between whatever hours the board chooses.
Do we already have an ordinance that deals with the park and our recreation areas? So rather than writing a new one, will we go into the existing ordinance and probably
Change that.
change some wording?
Yeah, I mean, the process is similar.
Yeah, so,
whether you're
and the
changing-
wording would be, again, I know that there's probably gonna be some pretty good emotion
Sure.
on both sides, but really the wording is saying that you really, the problem that we're trying to fix or that we're concerned about is people that shouldn't be there, being there during the hours of 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon,
What we're talking about is closing it to the public between 9 and 3.
from 9 to 3.
Excuse me, but like, could you maybe make an exception that if someone from a play school contacted you and wanted to make special arrangements to bring the
Sure.
small children, that they could do it?
I'm sure, I'm sure we can.
I just, my sister was kidnapped when she was a child, and the guy who kidnapped her had been released from prison, and he had menaced children at his schoolyard, and he kidnapped 2 other children before that. So to me, I hear this, I'm thinking, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm sure if there were places, I mean, we want to work with people, and we just want to make sure that everyone is safe and protected, and I think there's been some stuff that's gone on down behind the school, that's not what we would want our children to witness.
So obviously, if we're talking about an ordinance that has a process, we need to warn a public hearing. Joe needs to draft the ordinance. So why don't we, if the board's all right with it, let's leave it that we will have Joe draft an ordinance and work with you on that.
Okay.
And then it'll come back. And Bill. And hash out some of these concerns, like just make sure the time's what you want, how the enforcement's gonna work, what the penalties are, and schedule the hearing.
And the other thing, I think it's great if you can work with like a child care in the area, but what are the parameters around that? So if there's 2 people that like to play tennis, 2 adults,
Right.
can they also get cleared if they go through a background check? Just what's the span of that gonna look like?
My concern is making this so labor intensive and putting so many steps in. I had that I don't know how, just something as simply as who's gonna unlock and lock the gate.
Right.
You're gonna
Right.
find cumbersome, I think.
Right, no, absolutely.
And so, but at the same time, we look at that ordinance, could we also, if there's nothing in there, we might as well deal with everything that goes on, not just during that hour. If we have people sitting there doing things they shouldn't be after those hours in that playground area, in the dugouts or whatever, and I'm thinking.
You wanna add like no camping?
Well, I'm some verbiage that stops. I'm thinking that when we did the rec, went down there, we had an incident last summer, not this summer, where I think there were beer bottles and some drug paraphernalia left in there from the night before that they had to pick up. And so we should try to do something to take care of all
I think
of it.
the signage is old, right?
Probably.
So the rules, I thought there was a bullet hole through the one side.
There might be.
Yeah.
We replaced one of those signs the first or second year I was here, so it's not too awful. But that's.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And this would probably be very similar to up at the high school. I know on the weekend, some people like to walk
Yeah.
the track, but that's not during the hours of operation. You don't
Right.
have people walking the track, so it's very similar.
Correct,
Okay.
we want to partner with the community on this, we just want,
Mhm.
the kids to be safe.
Okay.
As do we, right?
Hmm.
We're all working toward the same end.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any other board or public comment?
But do you realize that the requirements for an ordinance, that there's one period of 60 days for, so first we have to draft it, and then there's a 60-day period.
Before it goes into effect.
It's gonna be
before it
a-
goes into effect.
Yeah.
You know,
It
so,
won't
and
be
it has to
tomorrow.
have, I think, 2 meetings, no, just one public meeting. So it's a process, so we're gonna struggle with this, the situation while we do this.
Yeah.
It's not something we can turn around.
I totally understand, and, I think this is something Joe and I have been talking about for a couple of years now, so, So, you know, we understand.
If the board does want, I mean, we can easily lock the gate though. That doesn't require an ordinance, that just requires us keeping the gate locked. To stop people from driving around back.
If you're talking between, see, I'm still back on, after dark, unless you've got lights down there, a lighted place, why would you want people? So it's locked to begin with. No one from the school has to go down in the morning to lock it. It's already locked the night before. All you're really looking for is who after 3 o'clock in the afternoon is going to unlock the gate so that people can use the ball field, they can use the basketball and tennis courts and down back. So that's a, and we can work that detail out.
Anything else from public or board? All right, let's move back to the approvals of minutes with Chris.
Thank you for coming in.
We need to get a couple other, green screen for the weather. We could do this, just keep shifting around.
All right, approval of the minutes from August 24th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 24th as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Glenn, seconded by Jeff to approve the minutes. Any changes or corrections needed?
I have just one on page 3 of the water abatement. The next to last sentence where it said they plan to continue paying the base rate. I thought we took that we agreed we weren't going to do the base rate.
Right.
So I just want the record to delete that line, and then the record would be correct.
Delete the line.
Yeah.
Other corrections needed? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Yeah, motion carries. Let's see here. 5 minutes for public comment.
Me,
Yep, go ahead.
Aye.
Saturday morning, I was going to a garage sale on Green Road. It's Lindsay and Josh Moore, right there at the curb.
Yep.
And, Green Road is not really very wide, and there was a lot of cars there, so I wanted to pull off as far as I could, off to the side of the road, and so my left side tires were on the road, and my right side tires were going to be on the grass. Well, underneath that grass was a hole. It was huge. My front right tire went right into it, and my left rear tire was up in the air about 4 inches. So I now have new friends, the Moores, because I had to spend 3 hours there before I could get somebody with a winch to get me out.
Yeah.
But she was told 2 years ago, they had come and they had dug a culvert. I guess DPW did something and they were gonna put some pipes or change some pipes out. They never did. And in order for them to have done it, they had to move a big piece of slate that was covering up that culvert. And they removed it and they never put it back. And that was like 2 years ago, she said. She's been trying to get that culvert. She ended up she had some old traffic cones she ended up putting over there, but my car seems to be okay, but Will's putting it up on the lift tomorrow to make sure I didn't do any damage to the underneath of the car. I mean, it drives okay, but she really wants something done. I told her I was gonna be here tonight.
Aaron's taking notes at the moment. I see him writing it down, so.
Okay.
The address, ma'am?
I think it's 1372.
It's right after the Adams, right on the sharp corner.
It's right on that sharp corner, on the left-hand
Left
side,
side.
yeah.
You were headed to.
I was headed up Green Road. Okay, so I was on the right-hand side going up Green Road, where I pulled off the culvert. The left-hand side was their driveway.
Yeah.
I
All right, Aaron.
dresser and I had to have my car.
Did you get anything good?
I did.
Perfect. All right, Aaron will take a look at that for sure.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else for public comment? Okay. Department head reports. Aaron, do you want to go?
Highway guys been busy starting on winter services already with the weather here and there. Days that look like not so great weather, they've been in the barn, chipping away at getting, services done, even today. We were getting this patchwork done up here. The mechanic was down there even working on a plow, putting that together for winter, so. And the, weather this morning kind of, as it has been cool at night, it's, pushing us towards that. Still working on getting Furnace Street done. Looking to have that completed with the drywall installations this week yet. So that road minus the hydrant that needs to be replaced on the end here, by the end of this week should be ready for next spring. Unsure if we're gonna get to that hydrant yet this fall, or if it'll be next spring, first thing, to get that done. If we get that done, we're gonna get up on, Bigelow Hill, but it's, Waterhouse Hill. We have the MRGP grants and aid money that we need to, get spent before October 30th, 31st. So we don't lose that money. The state is not issuing any extensions on that this year. They did send out a email last week to do whatever you have to do to get the money spent, even if it's a culvert project. Try and find something else to do if you can't find culverts, because there's many towns running into issues with getting culverts. Just the same as any product that we're looking for these days is way beyond what everyone suspected it would be. What's the project on Waterhouse? Stone line ditching on the right side all the way up from the culvert all the way up to the top. That's dictated by the MRGC, the municipal general roads permit, based on the slope that requires the stone line in the ditch. Been there a site visit with the landowner? We talked briefly. I need to go talk with him some more before we get up there. But Rutland Regional Planning Commission, they're the ones that hold the do's and don'ts and the purse strings for it. Met with them and never seen erosion issues here as what they're dictating it will have, but just because of the general permit, the way it's written, that work needs to be done in order to get that money for that road to come in compliance with the permit itself. So that's going to be stone lining all the way through there. We have to change out that culvert that's right at the bottom there. So, and then we'll be down to Sheldon Mills hopefully at the same time to finish that work from Inman Pond, or redo that ditch line from Inman Pond down through that culvert there.
That doesn't change your plow habits or anything like that in the wintertime?
Not really. You just gotta stay away from it now for sure, because it's gonna be more of a swale ditch with some big stone in it. Whereas before it's been, that ditch is, when I plowed that row all the time, the talk was if you have an issue, that's the side of the road you put the truck to if you're on, because it's the flat side.
Right.
It doesn't. So now it's gonna be, stay on both sides. You have to go to the top and stay on the road, so. But, unfortunately, it's what they're pushing us to do. We have had no erosion issues there that they say if you maintain it, it's fine, but the permit's written, that's what you have to do, so unfortunately we have to do it.
Just make sure you contact that landowner before you start digging.
When we were up there for the pre-construction meeting, he already, we had conversations, so I am going to be up there having another conversation with him, make sure we're all happy to let you on the same page. The water department's been busy getting more work done up on their backyard, as well as that drainage from the water leaking out of the intake tunnel there. As well, we've had the electrician in working on more of the electrical systems inside there. It's come to a point where he can now just do certain things, but he's not going to dig too much deeper. He said we really need to, as I had in my last report, dig into that capital. What are we going to do with the systems that are in place there, because they're all old, outdated, and older. They've all been touched by many hands, and has stuff just moved around the way it needs to make it work. So they're still out reading meters weekly, so we can get those letters out for the leak reports and stuff. I haven't heard any complaints much on water issues with those meters since we've been doing this, so thankfully that's working well. Next week we'll be doing hydrant flushing. So we're going to have a guy from the water department as well as one of the guys from highway teaming up to do that.
That way the highway guys don't all have to do it themselves, so hopefully it'll help us get some more work done on the highway end of it. On the sewer side, the plant upgrade's still going fairly well, as well as we are on our level getting stuff, but I'm sure everyone else is on certain aspects. They're running into hard times getting the equipment. There was one piece of equipment that's holding us up pretty bad. It's supposed to be 4 to 6 months before it was going to show up, and there was pretty heavy discussion for a few days on having to shut the project down possibly. They were able to finally procure, hopefully, what we need, and it'll be here within 4 to 6 weeks instead of 4 to 6 months. So we have a monthly meeting tomorrow, so hopefully more of that'll pan out, and we'll figure out what's going on with that schedule so they can just keep working and get stuff done down there. The big aeration tanks, if anyone's been down there or not, are completed, about 95% of it. There's some pretty big tanks down there that are still waiting for that wastewater to start being treated through them. So if you haven't been down, it's definitely a sight to see. So over last week, we did have an issue down there with the let's say it's a cold storage building. We had some electrical issues where a breaker tripped in the middle of the night and shut down our chemical heat pumps. So we ended up, weren't able to disinfect the water that was leaving the plant. So 5 o'clock the next morning, the operator came in and checked stuff and found that that circuit breaker had tripped out. So we did a little bit of looking back, worked through what's going on. There's a lot of stuff tied onto that individual circuit that also fed those the chemical feed pumps that were in that building. The electricians that are on site down there doing all the work for the upgrades were able to separate that circuit out, so now those pumps have their own dedicated circuit breakers, so that way if stuff's going on in the barn all day long, it's not affecting those pumps in any way. So you guys reported all through the state, they're happy. We had to retest the effluent leaving the plant today and sent that because of a long weekend. It messed us up from being able to get tested right away the next day. Only thing we had to do was make sure we had the downstream from the plant marked so people weren't out swimming in the water if they so choose. It was everything was a little higher in E. coli than it usually would be. So state's happy so far. Like I said, hopefully we'll get our test results back tomorrow and they'll clear us so we can pull that sign and we're back to doing business as usual. Academy Street, still working on a few little issues with that new controller. Hopefully we'll have those worked out in the next week or two. Adam Street Pump Station tomorrow is getting a new pump, reciprocating mass put in. So they've been waiting to get installed for a couple months here now. Had to wait a long time for the part itself, and now just waiting for personnel, which are scheduled for tomorrow to get that done. So I think that's all I have to do for now.
All right, questions for Aaron?
Yeah, I got a complaint about Swamp Road.
Yep.
And then the complaint was retracted, the potholes, and he said that you patched the roads, and then like the next day or the day after, he came back and said, I want to relodge the complaint. Are you putting cold patch in those potholes, or?
The potholes on Swamp Road?
Swamp Road. I didn't go look at it.
Swamp Road, I know the guys have been out a couple times in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if they've made it to Swamp Road or not. I can check, if not, we'll make sure.
Yeah, he said there was blacktop, but it was crumbling badly, and it was just gonna disperse again.
If it was cold patch, there's a chance that might definitely be. A lot of stuff we have on hand right now was stuff from the paving project that Pike left us for the facilities and whatnot, so it's a little bit older, not the greatest stuff right at the moment.
So is it cold patch, or can you use the hot box to pave it? Is it hot patch?
This is all cold patch that we have sitting here. What I've been doing is when we have to pave or patch the culvert we did down there, I'll just make sure they get the word that they should go around and hit all the holes they can with the hot stuff.
Yeah, the gravel was disappearing pretty quick, and the pothole, and people are traveling that, and one of the potholes is in a tough spot. You can't see it until you're right on it.
Right.
He said. So it's crumbling again.
All right. I'll take a look.
Other questions? All right, thanks, Aaron. Police chief?
Report from the police chief. He had 6 arrests in the last 2 weeks, ranging from DUI, petty larceny, wanted persons, driving with suspended license. A couple items the chief wanted me to bring up, talking about the airport gate. Though he knows it's unpopular, he says he would like to see the airport gate stay closed. He sees a lot of vandalism up there if the gate is open, which, I mean, we've all seen over the last few months and years. And he sees these people that go up and do donuts and tear up our park. It's more of a crime, an opportunistic crime. Like, if the gate's open, I'm gonna go up there and tear it up. If the gate was closed, they probably wouldn't do that. So he's of the belief that should stay closed. He wanted to let the board know we're doing a, I don't know what you call this, where the officer sits on the side of the road with his lights on. What do you call that in the state? During construction projects.
Oh, he's doing the safety for road work, he's out there, I know that, yeah.
Up on 22A, they're getting ready to do a culvert starting today. We're gonna park a guy out there with his lights on. We're billing $75 an hour to do this 8 hours a day.
This is for the state?
This is for it's a state project, yes. It does not reduce coverage in Fairhaven. I know there's been some grump about this, but personal opinion, I think it's great to increase our revenue if we're not reducing our coverage. And in this case, that's exactly what's happening.
I know this question is gonna come. Are we sure that we are covering our costs?
Yes.
I would think at $75 an hour we are, but.
Car coverage as well as labor is covered. It's
and
completely.
bennies? Or is this?
The whole thing, yeah.
Okay. Are we using a part-time?
Part-time. Yes, that question will definitely help a lot.
How many days did you say?
Not through 9/17 is how long the officer will be there.
I was wondering this.
Just on the gate that the chief wanted on Airport Road, I keep getting complaints that we're gating a class 4 road. Understand if we've got the red gates up on Munger Road gating it, and if you shut the yellow gates, you totally are gating off any access to a class 4 road. I'd like the chief to check in to see what our liability for not following the state statutes for keeping class 4 roads open, to make sure we don't get ourselves, I mean, we maybe think we're solving one problem, but we're creating a bigger problem in the end. Thank you.
Okay. The biggest issue is if there's an emergency and the gates are closed.
And you can't
if there's an emergency up in.
If you can't get emergency personnel on the to yours.
Who had a key for the gate?
Not me.
Not you?
Not me.
DPW has one.
Does the fire department have a gate?
I don't have one anymore. I know where there is one, but I don't have one.
The chief should have one, yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, are you all talking about the yellow gate or the red gate?
Yellow gate.
He's talking about
I do not have anything
wanting to
for the
lock
red
the yellow
gate.
gate.
I don't
All
know
right.
anything about it.
Anything else from PD?
Yeah, I just had when the officer on the previous subject, when the officer is sitting there, is the car running?
Probably.
The lights
I don't-
on, the car's running.
It's pretty hot in there.
Well, a lot of times the officer is not in the car.
I can check and see. I can request it if it's a decent day.
Just trying to head off questions, you know. I always wondered it.
I mean, that's legitimate.
I always wondered if they were even there.
Well, sometimes you drive by and there's no one in the car, but they're out talking to one of the construction guys.
If we're really throwing out all our wonders.
Is someone really there?
I can answer that question for you.
Anyway,
If the car lights are on, the blue lights are on, the car's running because 15 minutes with those blue lights on.
It's gonna pull them.
Yeah, blue lights aren't gonna be on either.
Good to know.
Other questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Town manager report?
Weirdly quiet town manager, on the town manager side. To answer questions that we touched on the playground just a second ago, and I'm gonna touch on that again. We've done everything on this side to get this money, shake this money loose from the federal government. I've talked to I talked to Mr. Canfield, our representative to the state. I've talked to Bernie Sanders folks. I've called those folks, I've left them emails. They're just not.
There's no contract, there's no.
We've been awarded the money, but they haven't released the funds. So it's just.
So you can't order, you can't do anything.
Back 9 months ago, I asked, can we just front the money ourselves and then be reimbursed? And they told me, no, you can't do that. Until the end of June, when they said, well, do you want to do this? And I said, well, yeah, that's what I asked for to begin with. So it's, right now, we're just in this space where I said, yes, please give us permission for reimbursement.
But I want that.
And then please release the funds as well, so.
Unless we don't get it back.
I want that in writing, that,
Yeah, well, what's that get you?
it's better than, I talked to Kim.
I agree,
At the
but
state.
it still may not be enough, because the money disappears and.
Agreed.
cases
So it's
like this
The
don't.
playground?
The playground equipment,
Playground
yeah.
equipment?
So we wait, that's,
I would wait.
And that's pretty much where we're, even now, even if they give us the cash
can't do anything till.
tomorrow, yeah, do we start building and move into winter time pouring cement?
Okay,
We've just been hung up, and it's nobody's, oh, I wanna blame the federal government.
somebody's fault.
Yeah, so, but we've been banging on every door.
Wendy?
And I've mentioned this to Joe, the town needs to come out with a statement on the playground, because I have people messaging me, you told us spring, you told us summer,
Yeah.
nothing's happened, and the town hasn't put out a statement about that playground. And they raised a lot of money in the town for it, and everybody waited for it, and hasn't heard a word, it's just disappeared, so
That'd be a good press release, Joe.
Yeah.
It's awkward because people will say, oh, it's great about the dog park, but hey, I
Where's
donated
the
to the
playground?
playground.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Maybe a press release, put some pressure on some others, I don't know,
I just would,
possibly.
I don't wanna take in where it's already hard to get the purse strings open and get the money, to upset someone who's making that decision by poking them in the eye with a dull stick either. But I appreciate, we should give some coverage for
Yeah.
the committee that put that together. Part of the minutes from this meeting will show what's going on and our frustration with what's happening, but.
But the town has a Facebook page. It wouldn't hurt them to put in we realize you're wondering, this is what's going on and has been going on. Don't just leave people in the dark. It's not my place staff to keep answering people, where's our playground?
Okay.
There might be a way to word it that wouldn't sound like you're, just that we're waiting,
Just for the pen, not a poison pen.
Yeah.
And a lot of the hesitation, though, I understand there's concern about getting the word out, but in my experiences, if you jump too fast and throw something out there, then if it changes in the next day, they've already jumped on the first thing and said, but you said.
Yeah, but you're
I
not-
understand, I said, but now we're moving into.
Yeah, but if
the
you
next
just say, we have been working on it, it is a matter of not getting the funds, you're not promising them anything, but you're acknowledging that they should have some information about what's happened with the project.
Yes.
And I guarantee you that 75% of the people in this town don't go to the town page and read the select board.
Right.
But a lot of people do. A lot of people do.
All right, anything else anything else, Joe?
Yes, moving on, salt shed project, those documents are being finalized with the state. We're looking for, again, how things change in a matter of minutes. We originally had a 10/1 due date for those bid documents. It's bumped back to 10/13. Let me put on my glasses. 10/15 would be the due date for those bid documents to come back, if everything goes smoothly from here on out. They do think we can do construction early this winter. So we're still kind of on track with that project. Knock on wood.
Will we be taking any of those millings and getting them down beforehand?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are used for the base.
Okay. Nice to get.
Get that pile out of there, yeah.
Mhm.
And the point of contention, West Street was paved. The cost was $22.50. I did call Jeff to talk to him about his concerns about this paving. I did run some numbers. It took these folks about 5.5, 6 hours to do the project. I was estimating our guys to take about 6 hours to do the project. I feel like that was lowball number. But it would have cost the town about $1,300 to do the project if we would have done it ourselves.
There's that much of a disparity between what we pay for asphalt and, well, I mean, not actually, Wilk has their own.
It's all labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was mostly labor. The tar was what, $400 or something like that?
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but you did, so.
Well, we
I
were talking
wouldn't,
about.
I wouldn't count our labor in that.
Yeah, right.
Cause we pay that anyway.
That's some cost. It's your out-of-pocket cost. You're paying the people no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it's opportunity cost. It's, the guys could be doing this or they could be
Right.
doing that. It costs you either way.
But anyway, it's done and I'm glad it looks good and we don't have to swerve into the other lane now.
I guess you do until tomorrow morning.
Nope, he picked up the cones tonight, so we can leave. If you want, you can swerve into that lane and try it on the way home.
I'm gonna drive across it.
Okay, and that's what I had for you tonight.
All right, questions for town manager?
I'm just glad to see it.
No, we're good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, old business, dog park, airport gate. I know Linda and crew handed out some options last week for folks to look at.
You did?
Were these this meeting?
Yes,
Yeah.
These were from this meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think I saw them last.
we just got those.
last one. With some options, what's feedback from the board? I know it was under public comment, so we didn't make a decision last meeting, but it's up for discussion now and.
You have the options.
Yeah, they're here, good.
I handed you ones that you handed. Oh. Last week's?
Are you looking to hear from the committee or from us?
It's up to you guys. I mean, we had the options presented to us last week. The committee made a,
Okay.
did you make a recommendation or not? Did I?
Just at
Suggestion.
the gate, the existing gate there. And
Should, yes,
I can,
It looks terrible.
it does.
I can, I looked at the pictures. I went up today to take a look just for myself to see what's there. I can see the concern of that yellow gate sitting blocking the rule sign and how close it is in front of it and saying, okay, is there a way we can have something different that isn't?
Well, and it's crooked.
It's a big crooked post.
It's the crooked. Yeah.
My question for the dog park committee, now there's another archway, where is that going to be?
Over where the 10 by 10 area is, the entry to the dog park.
Yeah.
It'll go, I don't know, 1.5 or so away from that because it's like a 65-inch width where the gate's only 4 feet.
Not really.
So it'll go centered over the entryway.
Just to refresh my memory, because I wasn't here. On the, I don't have the picture of where you, yeah, I'm still not getting a good mental picture of what you want it to look like. What's,
Well, the problem with the.
just without the yellow gate?
We just wanted the gate.
Well, the
He would've-
gate's gone
alright,
and
alright.
the fence post straightened.
And if you feel that there needs to be a gate there, could there be a different gate?
Like a
Or
20-foot
an
gate.
attractive gate, because the way that looks is, it's pretty bad. And we're kind of wondering, like, when did that gate go up? What was the purpose of it? You know, is it one gate? Like, yeah, we don't really
It was,
know
yeah.
the history of the gates.
Yeah.
But, you know, there could, like, if feel that there is a need for a gate, that one, the post on, as you're going up on the left is prohibited, right? You
Yeah, it's always been
know, we
okay.
basically were told the only option for the rule sign was exactly where it is. So,
Because of the wetlands, like when we laid it out, we laid it out more towards the corner, and then I got an email from Joe with a red dot on a wetlands map and said, you are planning to put the gate here, and I'm like, that's right where the sign, where the gate post is. And I'm looking at the wetland, we just couldn't move back without
Yeah.
getting into the wetland. So we're stuck right on top of that gate.
Right, I looked at the picture from last meeting where the sign was in front of the gate.
Right, yeah.
And then the one that you brought in now where that gate post is sitting
Right in front of it, yeah.
right.
We were
right
told
up.
we couldn't put it in front of the gate because that was south, or, yeah, that was south of the fence line.
right,
Because we wanted to put it so it was blocked part of the gate, and we were told we couldn't.
But the gate post can't go behind the sign now, is that what you're saying?
Well,
The post couldn't just be moved behind the sign?
oh, sure, it could, but we were told that we had to be north of that fence line, and that's why we did it. I mean, it made no sense to put it behind it.
So
but-
between north of the fence line and where the buffer starts is a very,
Very
very
close.
small space. It's a couple of feet. So,
I guess what I'm trying to visualize, my question is, if we have a nicer looking gate, where would that gate go?
It would be lovely if you put it right behind the sign instead, because that
That's what I'm
fence
That-
post.
that's all
I
I'm-
thought there were pictures.
That-
Yeah.
that-
There
that's
is.
Okay, I thought I missed pictures.
More,
That's
more
why-
like that.
No.
So the sign is behind the gate because the Board of Selectmen said do not put anything on the dog park south of that gate.
We did.
Understood?
Yep.
So we're saying, okay, we need to,
We're saying,
We moved the fence this time, we didn't move the dog park, so the fence is going north of the dog park.
I mean, I think we need the fence there to keep folks off from as needed. Whether we figure out what the class 4 road, what figures out with that, but I think it's nice to have there, whether it's open or closed during really wet season or not. I'd be fine with it behind the sign, but I would agree if the sign is in the current, it doesn't do justice to the new dog park. I mean, it looks really nice up there, and we should put a few bucks into putting a new,
Is there any reason the sign couldn't be like, or the fence couldn't be due north from the sign towards the corner? It'd be the southwest corner of the dog fence.
so would that, but wouldn't that be going into the wetland?
It's fence, you can build a
Yeah.
fence.
Oh, fence,
You'd have to cement that, and cement would be,
considered.
you can't cement it
It's in the road.
buffer zone, doesn't matter if it could be a pad of concrete, if you're in that zone.
You guys are trying to do that.
I don't like it either, it makes life difficult.
I'm a little confused about it, because I thought when we went up there and you were there too, Brent, like when we went up with Dory, she had said that if you put features on the existing fill, that it did not require a permit. You could put anything on existing fill, if there was existing gravel, she said on the runway, if we designed the dog park so part of it was on the runway, which, you know, for lots of reasons,
Because it's not wetland.
because it's not wetland.
That's
So-
what I heard too.
Yeah, so I don't.
But I think I was wrong.
Well, the key is too, because it's not wetland. If you look at where we did our salt shed, there was the buffer came out actually onto the concrete pad that we're working on, the concrete pad that's there,
Yeah.
buffer. If you disturb that, you're in the buffer. It doesn't, the runway, she came out, she said, this is not wetland,
Right.
so you can put anything there, because she said that's not wetland.
Okay.
It's not buffer, it's the designation.
So if we put a new sign in, or a new gate in, we could put it behind the existing sign?
I
Or
think it would be, right. I think-
you'd be right on the edge of the,
Can we move it to the left of the sign and just make the gate that much bigger?
That'd be a monster gate.
It'd be a couple extra feet, but not too bad.
But you wouldn't get, but we know what the map looks like. you would not be getting into the buffer if you did what you're saying. You're right.
Where? If you move it left?
If you move it over, like the way that post on the left.
So just so when it's open, it's away, open and you
Yeah.
can see the sign.
There's, you can, right, that it's not blocking the sign.
Okay.
That would move it over here.
Gotcha.
Although the picture is, we took the picture and we were directly behind the gate. If you're in the road, you're not looking through the post though.
You're still seeing.
You're saying
post
it's-
coming
You know
out.
what I'm saying? You're coming up the road and it's like, there's the sign, it's not.
Yeah.
through
Well, the problem
post.
is you put your sign in plumb. You were supposed to go with the gate post.
Right. We wanted people to be able to read it as they came towards the dog park. That
Yeah.
was the problem.
Yeah.
And my only other question is gonna be, if another gate goes in, any thoughts on how we're gonna pay for that? Are we gonna fundraise for that, or what's the thoughts for another gate? I'm just,
Throwing it out here.
Well, how about if it was painted? That would make a heck of a difference. You know, paint it green, straighten it out, get it behind around.
It's your
There's no
day.
money, is there any money left?
Well, I have a question, I think, you know, that's a possible option, but then I have a question with what okay, if the police chief was saying it should be locked. Are we saying dog parking unit for use from dawn to dusk? So then, when would this gate be locked? You know what I mean, like, how do you access the dog
Either way,
park
there-
if the gate's locked?
Either way, there'd be some sort of man pass, right? I mean, that gate is vehicular traffic.
Right, but how, okay.
I mean, it's never stopped people from going even when it's closed.
How is it going up there, you know, what I mean?
Well, they had to walk around the gate.
Walk around the
They
gate.
had to walk around the gate. There was a man pass
Oh, okay.
to the
So they go
right.
by the big
Yeah.
cement block.
No, no, there was a gate in the fence,
there was a gate.
which may not be there now, but there
Yeah,
was a
you could open the
gate.
gate and fence
That's
and
right,
you could go
that's
through.
right.
So there would need to be something.
Yeah, so we have to figure that out.
Okay. So I think we got a couple different thoughts. Paint the existing, replace. Other ideas? Aaron, you got any suggestions from your end? No? Alright.
How hard would it be to straighten that post out?
Can't be that hard, can it?
Depends on if it's in cement,
Yeah,
then go bend,
you
or
could-
what's gonna happen with it.
When you go to take it out or whatever, you might, the new sign you put in,
Oh.
depending on how much cement's down there, I'd be worried that.
Yeah.
Just be something else that we throw on top of the final with it as it comes, so
Yeah.
I can't say even when or how it would happen, so.
I guess if it was me, I'm just thinking practically, I would come straight south and put your nicer new gate up. Away from the fence just a little
Right.
bit, away from the sign, make it a
Right,
little
and
wider.
Go just
And
behind.
it would just be enough to keep vehicles out. You could still walk around the gate
Yeah.
and it would be easier to open. Is that crazy? Seems simple. The only thing that I don't know is how that gate swing is gonna affect the salt shed and whether they can be open straight south with the orientation of the salt shed.
Yeah, no impact.
No impact.
No, it's not that close.
But I don't know how we're paying for it either. I also think there's enough gate there if you painted it, and moved the post over to the left, you could, just chain between the two.
Right, take the gates right off, just have the poles in the,
No, or leave if you painted the gates, you could do just a short 3-foot chain between the two. I know it's not the aesthetic you're going for.
Well, it's your dog park too.
True,
I mean,
right.
it's made out
I
like
under-
it's a special interest, but it's the town's dog park. And if the town doesn't care that it looks crappy, that you've got a new dog park that will get some attention You know, it's not for us to complain. We just want it to be the best it can be. And if it's a simple fix, we would like to do a simple fix.
Yeah. Something like that. Only further, I think they want this post over here.
Yeah, over on
Something like that, but south, so you have a man walk over here, you
Yep.
get in through here, you can get in around that side as well, but you can't get in through Travis.
Right.
Something like that, I think is what you guys are.
You want to
Can I
attach,
see
you want to attach?
Can we see your dress?
I think
Don't
you
put it
should-
on TV.
I think you
Put it on TV. Can we see
You
it?
can't come out. It's not the scale.
oh,
Don't laugh, Linda.
Yeah, don't laugh at my
you
drawing.
go ahead.
Okay, so, I'm missing something,
No.
okay.
Post, further south, you can walk around the right side,
They can walk around that side.
and you can walk around the left side.
Mhm.
Your sign would buffer vehicle traffic.
Right, yes. Heading at least in the right direction.
I think you need to,
Will you sign it now?
No, I won't.
I think that post though needs to be over here. Because
Post needs to be moved.
if you open this gate and it's sitting right like
Yeah,
this,
yeah, so you want.
Linda's gonna kill you.
Yeah, the post.
What am I gonna kill them for?
Well, if the gate swings and as it opens, it completely obstructs the view of your
Right.
sign,
Yeah,
you
wanna
will
buffer
kill
it.
me.
He's
So,
right,
yeah.
exactly. The
So,
mayor's been working on his attack dog training, so just fair warning.
so just the post needs to be to the left of the sign, so when it's open,
Right,
Sign
It's
is-
Nothing
completely
obstructs
clear.
the view of the
right.
site.
That would be pleasant.
I get what you're saying. Okay,
All right, so do you need action, or are you just gonna,
you need
No,
money.
this is just,
I'll just do it.
I mean, you
What are
don't
you
need
gonna
my.
just,
I mean, I can move
Right.
the post, the gates are a different story.
Oh, move the post,
I can move the post. Well, when I say I
Aaron.
mean Aaron's crew can move the post.
Well, keep in mind that the right-hand side as you're going up it's attached to a post that's part of the dog park now. So you'd actually need a new post
okay. Well, I think you're gonna,
for that.
you may end up needing 2 new posts, just because if that's cement, and it's
you're gonna cut that
follow
out, you're not
the
gonna dig it out, right? Yeah, you may be upsetting someone.
They should look alike
That's got
as well.
a base on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
sign. Aaron knows what.
Mhm.
He's got some 4x6x6 or something.
Oh, do we have any,
We had a lot of those old posts.
And,
It's a little short, are they? Yeah, all right.
okay.
and I believe that there's a date, isn't there a date that you lock that in December or after a certain time that you?
Never been hard and fast.
No?
Kinda like a little after deer
That's
season.
what comes to the board spots, you know.
I'm not really.
And I think when the chief talked about coming up and rewriting our recreation area
I've just stopped
rules,
worrying about
that
it.
probably gotta be in there,
They,
when you're gonna open, when you're gonna shut the gate.
they,
You can do it there.
the
So
people
we're
are
gonna-
come tear it up one way or another.
We're gonna move the gate to the south,
Yep,
and you guys, Aaron, Joe, and then committee will find the exact. Well, I think Joe's gonna work on what, a new fence versus painting and all that stuff. Right?
Yes. All of that. There's just, I don't know where to get the money for.
Okay. Aaron?
We're gonna keep taking the steps,
we're out of money.
forward thinking at
Yeah.
some point, the town
No,
rather.
this wasn't in the budget.
Oh, okay.
Where do we end up? Trying to keep moving stuff, and every time we add another piece of there, more
Yeah.
has to get removed, and moved again, and moved again, and moved again. So there's-
Yep.
mhm.
All right.
going out there.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, thank you, guys.
I bet that's selling for the trailer park.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Aaron, I do have
Bye, guys.
a speed
See ya.
limit sign propped up against the house by the barn.
Bye, John.
Got mowed down. So if you, at your leisure, pick it up. It was just kinda hanging in the road, so I got rid of it. I brought it home.
Thank you.
All right, next agenda item is the Airport Road Mobile Home Park water shut off.
Come on in.
They
Come on in.
Bring 'em right in, do we have enough chairs?
Did they leave?
I don't know.
We should be careful not to shut that door.
They were out there, I told them we'd get them when they were
Oh, okay.
at that point.
Did I slow you down? Sign-in sheet.
Busy day.
Mm-hmm.
Busy. Come on in and find a seat. Oh yeah, sign in. Morning, Tony.
Anybody else, or is that all set, Jim? Everybody's, okay. All right, so the next agenda item is the Airport Road, mobile home park water shut off. Joe, do you wanna give a little background on where we're at?
So the the trailer park Green Mountain Mobile Manor, we did shut their water off 2 weeks ago. We did offer the residents, we did contact the property owner, give her an opportunity to pay the bill, which is a current $31,948 in back in overdue water bills. We contacted the owner, asked her to please pay up. If not, she received a red slip, just like everybody in the room did. She did not pay her bill, so then the tenants have the option to come to the Board of Selectmen and have an agreement so they can pay the bill, so to keep the water on. Nobody showed up at that meeting. Subsequently, the water was turned off. The water currently is back on. It was turned on later, I think Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, at the request of the health officer.
Okay. Yep, go ahead.
Well, we got a bill the other day, so 24,000, why is it 30-some-thousand now?
We count the taxes.
That was hand delivered to our doorstep.
Current, past due is $24,831. Current due, which will be billed, $7,116.80. That totals the number that I just said.
Jeff, go ahead.
The 7 is the last quarter.
Is what's currently due.
Okay. Others have questions, comments? I mean, now's your time to.
Well, I just want to know how we're going to solve this problem, because right now, I know for a fact, and I've been there, and I used to help Ron work on this pipeline, we have 3 major leaks in the system right now. And I know for a fact that this Debbie does not have the money to fix it.
Aaron, are you showing the leaks?
Oh, hold on.
The hot box itself is leaking. Now, I'm only addressing Jeff because I know Jeff.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I don't know the rest of you people here.
Yeah.
The hot box itself is got a leak right next to it. There is a leak down behind Bonnie Rosati's, and there is a leak at Chuck Delaney. We can't fix Chuck Delaney because we can't shut the water off just to his trailer. We have to shut the whole park off. And none of us right now have the money to dig that up to put a new curb stop in. So I think basically what we're trying to figure out here is maybe we can get some help to solve this problem, because it's not going to go away unless these water issues get taken care of first. Because right now everybody's just bashing their head over a rock and we're not getting anywhere. And Debbie already left. She's just so frustrated with the whole thing. She just left like 10 minutes ago. So
She's got to be at work at 4.
I just don't understand how we're going to solve this problem, because obviously you folks are ready to shut our water off again, right? Am I right or wrong? And that's the bottom line right there. And right, none of us, I almost guarantee you, with all of us combined, can't come up with $7,000, and that would be the minimum you probably accept, just on the back, the bill coming up, is that correct? It'll be $7,000?
The current is 7/24 is passed.
Yeah, it's
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So,
It would just have to be a plan that worked, correct?
Could we get a state grant to help us out with these water leaks?
I don't understand why there's not COVID money to pay this back bill.
The park received $30,000. We helped the park get $30,000 to pay the past back bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they kept it?
have you?
No, they paid us. This is on top of all the money that we've already received.
Well, I mean, the bill is
Is there additional?
28,000
I
a
mean,
year
how
in
many-
water and sewer.
I mean, we got some people in the park ain't paying either. They're probably half the people ain't paying in the park.
Right.
And so it kind of puts a bind on her paying the water bill, because she can't shut them trailers off because they can't be out with water.
Yeah.
And the people that aren't paying are the ones that are moving out. We got a bunch of people that are just moving out, they're just giving up. Either they bought different houses, like I know for a fact Sean Bowen just bought a house. I know that, the Allen family, they're moving out because they're just so sick of it and everything.
They also have kids,
Yeah, exactly, you know.
and I'm also currently pregnant.
Yeah,
so
and she's pregnant.
I'm totally worried about the water.
I mean, the question I was gonna ask is like, when you make your monthly payments, is it broken out, water, sewer, rental?
No.
It's just
all-
one flat?
Yeah.
It's one flat rate, everybody has basically the same rate, the people that own our, the folks down there that own their places,
Yeah.
it's $260 a month for the lot rent. You know, and then the people that don't own their houses or their trailers are paying, what, $455?
I'm paying 500.
500, you know?
Yeah.
So, but the problem is that we can't keep enough tenants in there to pay the water bill itself. And that all it boils down to because there's just so many leaks right now.
So what if they took all their rent money and paid it to you guys, would that help?
Who's they? Just,
The ones that rent it,
Right, as far as us. that
if
are
Debbie
real-
agreed,
What do we,
that'd be
I don't
almost
know.
$2,000 a month that you guys are receiving on the bill.
But that's about all the park's getting, about $2,000 a month.
That's it.
Yeah.
in total income,
Yeah.
revenue?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like I said, there's a lot of people that are moving out that just don't want to.
And there are a lot of people who got behind about a year or better on paying their rent.
Yeah.
And they're just avoiding paying it.
Yeah.
And $2,000 a month is not even really covering the water
No,
bill.
it won't even cover, you're
It's not
telling me
covering.
$7,000 a quarter
Quarter,
right there,
yeah.
so we're
Taxes.
$1,000 short already.
Yeah.
Joe, do you show a leak down there?
Yes.
You do,
It's,
significant.
significant.
Oh, I guarantee it's significant.
It is now.
Well, we,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
It is since the last time they shut the water off, turned it back on.
Yeah.
It's got worse.
They turned it on so fast that it slammed that pipeline. Because that's a split line, one line feeds one side of the trailer park, and the other side feeds the other side. And when you folks, I say it like that because we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
When it got turned back on, I believe it got turned back on so fast, that it just added additional problems. And me and Ron, when Ron was alive, used to go through that all the time, he'd holler at me, tell him, you crack that valve slow. If it
Yeah.
takes you 5 minutes to turn that on, you do it right the first time, because I'm not digging this line back up again. I worked with Ron for over almost 10 years.
All right, board questions? It's a tough
Have we
spot
had,
for,
have we had past agreement? This isn't the first time we've had
agreement
have we had past agreements with people in the park,
with tenants.
with tenants for, paying water?
Yeah, before COVID, I couldn't give you an exact date, but there was in the past, agreements, they were broken.
That were broken?
They were broken.
How long ago were they?
It was before COVID, over a year.
Yeah, at least.
Were they-
Because I didn't.
We never moved.
were they with tenants or were they with
They were
Tenants,
tenants.
yeah,
individual tenants?
We never moved up.
different group.
We never do that.
Can we ask who the names were of them people?
I don't have it with me.
All right, because that's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
I don't know, 6 years and I never heard of that.
Yeah, it was,
I've been at my place over, just about 10, so.
I mean, the other issue, I know it's not part of the water issue, Joe, but what is the back taxes also on the property?
Back taxes.
I think you said 12.
Back taxes, what's currently, so there's past due and then there's current due. Everything tallied up is $22,377. That goes back, as far as 2018.
But they run something paid on that in the meantime, right? Like a down payment or anything from anybody?
The payments stopped back in 2020 when COVID hit.
And that's probably why a lot of people ain't been paying their rent, and so she ain't got the money to pay it. If she ain't getting the money, she ain't got the money to pay it. Because she's been paying for, so she's gotta pay for the service, for the power, for the meter, for the water. She gotta pay for all that, and I don't know what that is, because you're saying that's kinda high with the water running through it, so that bill must be pretty high for her. So, we're at a point where, why can't we shut the water off so the people ain't paying?
Because not all the
Because there's-
work.
Right, they aren't individually metered.
Yeah, I know that, but we can
The-
shut them off and it'll help the people who are paying. And get the people that ain't paying out of there.
I don't believe we are allowed to shut off individuals because we have one water
One main line.
meter
One meter.
and one, technically one owner that's paying that bill.
But then again, it's gonna be the same
And it
thing.
affects all of you.
Right, if the leaks don't get fixed, the bill's still gonna be $6,000-7,000 every quarter.
Yeah.
So the main thing is, there any way we can get grants, any way you can send us through to get grants to fix this? Water leaks?
Is there anybody that would help us with that?
Not that, it's a private,
Yeah, see,
it's
that's
a,
the big
it's a,
hang-up
it's a
right
private,
there.
it's private property.
That whole thing's private property down there.
But there was, you were successful during the peak of COVID last year of getting some support for them during that. Is there another allotment of money available or
I
not?
thought there was a second round.
That's the rumor, was there is a second round.
there is.
Well, there is a second round, but not, what the state's telling me is we're not allowed to double, the people that received it can't receive it again. Both for rent and for, utilities. Round 2 is open though, so.
Do you have that contact so they can call? Because I feel like
I can
those people
call
would be
them
hard
back.
pressed to say no to the actual person. It's easy to say no to us.
If enough of us that are gonna stay in the past raise a big enough stake, somebody's gonna listen.
I think we're listening. You
Well,
just
no, I'm
don't-
not talking about you,
Yeah.
folks. I'm talking about the higher ups, like the grant people.
Uh-huh.
If we all get on the same boat and, we all talk to basically almost the same person, somebody out there's gonna be able to help us.
And listen to what we have to.
Right.
The last winter, when it got winter time, it was muddy out there. I'm the one who put all the stone in the road out there.
Right.
I did that myself.
And
You've
then
been
the spring,
there
the
for
spring.
Yeah.
3 years,
Yeah, since we've been there, I've been fixing the road.
Yeah.
and that road's horrible.
In the springtime it is.
45
No matter
yards
what,
last
it's
year.
still bad.
It always has.
And you see the predicament that we're in as a town too.
Yeah, I know.
There's 50 grand between water and taxes that are.
The taxes, we can't do nothing about.
True, I just,
We can't do nothing, but
It's still tied up in probate court too from Ron's estate when he died too.
if Debbie just told us that out.
I believe that's the
Because
case. yeah.
legally by right,
She don't own the park, his kids does.
his kids own it.
Gotcha. I don't know the legal
daughter.
details there, but
Yeah.
He's got 2 daughters, and Debbie just told us outside that his 2 oldest daughters, and Pam, I went to school with, I know her personally,
yeah.
and so Debbie's telling me that Pam and Pam's sister, they actually technically are gonna end up with that tax.
Telling
That's
Debbie
what-
that she's,
That's
that's
the
her
whole
problem.
thing, that's what they're all trying to work out right now, is all the fine tuning of who's gonna get what, and who's gonna pay what, and this and
Right.
that. And we're just, as tenants, we're just kinda stuck between the middle,
So I think the only other board member can speak up option we have is to try some kind of payment plan. Other than that, I don't know what we would be able to
So
do.
what kind of payment plan were you guys expecting?
Well, that's where I'm wondering if,
Well, if you're,
there's a lot of details into this, that Joe knows that we necessarily may not know. Is it something that one or two of you could sit down with Joe, the town manager, and just see if there's a way to do it, or there may not be a way to come up with a
there
plan.
might not be a way.
There might not be a plan, but at least
Right.
you two, 2 or 3, we have had that conversation
Right.
as tenants with the town manager, and then, I don't know if that's I don't know.
I mean, is it something that the tenants can give so much a month on top of what they pay or something? Is that what they're trying to say? To try to keep the taxes paid too, is that? something?
Usually what happens is, I think the ordinance allows for up to a 6-month payment plan
Yep.
for backwater sewer. So I mean, you can do the math right off, 24,000 at, 6
Yeah.
months.
Well, if we try to get the water fixed in the meantime here, can we get a credit on that if we try to get this all fixed? I mean, cause right now we're just losing water that
Yeah.
nobody's using. Could we have a break on that? I mean, cause I know it's town water,
You
but
know,
can't we
because
have a break on the part where it's leaking out and we ain't using it, it's just going on the ground?
are they paying sewer fees on all that?
So,
So if you can prove that there was some leak, we can talk about an abatement, right, on some of the sewer portion? Potentially. It could be talked about, that's all I'm saying.
That is, yes. Yeah, that's what the.
What we're trying to say, it ain't, the water ain't all going in the sewer.
Right.
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 I just have to be careful because it's gonna be difficult to tell how much water.
Exactly.
With it running, it's been running constantly for months, it would be impossible to find an average.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to do it. No way.
They're probably losing probably 50 to 100 gallons a day, if not more.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, I bet you're losing, I bet you're losing thousands.
I bet you.
Thousands a day.
If it's a leak like you're saying, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the backside of 500 Rosati's, I mowed it 2 weekends ago, and it was soaked dead, and my tractor's 4-wheel drive. Jeff, you've seen it, my Kubota, and I got stuck. And I've mowed that property back there for the last 10, 12 years, and there's never been running water out there, so I knew something was wrong. And when I just mowed it this past Saturday, I didn't even dare to mow.
So,
So there's a major leak right there.
so myself, I don't see, just with the quick math, I don't see how a payment plan is gonna work for you
I don't believe it.
and be feasible, be sustainable at the current level.
Right.
So I think if you could fix those couple breaks and get the water use under control on your own,
If we can.
then it'd be something we could maybe talk about. But I think with that leak like that, it's just,
Well, I mean, Joe, you can,
I mean, after a month or two, could you guys figure out how much we lost and try to give us a little bit of break on what was lost as it was fixed?
we'd have
suggest
to
that
cross
we'd have
that.
to- how far back do we have to go in time to get an average?
Accurate.
Right.
And then strike the line in the sand there and see if there's an adjustment that can be calculated on the sewer side. And that should make an impact. I don't know what that impact is.
Yeah, it's typically 4 quarters. Again, with it being, the water's been running constantly.
For that.
I mean, it's not hundreds of gallons, you're talking tens of thousands of
Oh,
gallons
yeah.
of water. It will be, I can look, there will be an average, but it would be so high.
So high.
It would be, I mean, the average, because it's just, it's.
I don't know
a
how,
holding
I mean, we don't know
spigot
how long
along
the
the way.
leak has been there.
It's been running since we put that meter in, it's been running.
So how long has it been since this been paid on? Since you're saying it's 24,000 right now, or it's gonna be 32.
Yep.
How long has it been since it's been ringing up where nobody's paid on it?
I don't know when the property owner made the last payment, but the last substantial payment was what the state gave us through COVID, which was
Yeah.
just a few months ago, which was what, 30,000.
So basically,
You-
so
you gotta
what's the
purchase-
water bill running right now a month? What are you saying it's running a month?
Over 7,000.
2,500.
Oh, it's oily.
7,100 a quarter, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of that leak.
How many units are up there?
Fix it.
There's 12 that are getting used right now,
12.
and there's 6 probably people are paying on.
How many units total are there,
12 that are using.
No, how many units total?
21.
Yeah.
The 21 without one on the slab.
No, it's not.
It was a 21 unit
Yeah,
slab,
she's number 19. And Bonnie Rosati would be 20.
And
so 20.
Yeah, we got one trailer missing up front, so they're back to 19.
19 altogether.
19 actual units up there, and there's a couple, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 3 or 4 that are
Ain't
not-
nobody living in.
nobody living in.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the ones nobody's living in, I mean, can't we tear them out of there if they're, the taxes ain't on them to get taxes down too?
I don't think we can touch it.
It's
Probate.
very difficult.
It's a probate, we can't touch it.
And I think the listers have been lowering the assessments on them. I don't know exactly which ones, but I do know
There's
they,
only a couple up in that park that are actually worth something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, or say, thanks.
I think a lot of the tax is the land tax, more than likely, the value of the land. I
And
don't
there's-
think there's a lot of tax on the units themselves.
Right. So I guess the next question for the board is gonna be, could you give us a timeframe? Like, okay,
Get the water leak fixed.
right, I think that's what I'm asking for, and I think Chuck
Yeah,
will agree with me, that this ain't gonna happen overnight.
Yeah.
What is the current timeline, if you stay on the schedule you're projected to be on? For the next shut off?
If you folks.
If we were going to go that way.
If we were following step by step, tomorrow morning, the water department would go out and turn off their water.
I knew that was coming.
So I think technically though, the water is in a shut-off state, but the health officer issued a order to turn it back on because of health issues. So,
And there are some handicapped children,
Yes, with oxygen.
right? They have quite a lot of people there.
so I mean, I just want that out there. I know Joe's going down his path, which is fine. I mean, that's what he's supposed to be doing. And really, this is the first time that you guys have come and met with the board, so I mean, personally, I think we need to give you an opportunity. You know now what the numbers are, you know what the backwater is. I mean, you're not responsible for taxes, but you know what that, I mean, you know what everything adds up to. If we should give them at least a couple weeks to reach out to somebody to find out how much it might cost to fix the water leaks.
What we're asking, would the board be willing to do that for us?
I mean, and we might all find out it's not realistic, that it won't work in the current form.
Realistically, I don't believe it's gonna work. I mean, I'm just doing the numbers in my head,
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't see any of the tenants that are actually going to stay in the park coming up with $7,000 every 3 months.
Well, I don't believe it should be that much if those water leaks.
What do you think?
The
I
water
understand
leak
that,
needs
Jeff.
to be
Okay.
fixed.
Tony, they're gonna adjust it if we can get it fixed.
Right.
That's what
I
the
got
whole
that.
point is.
I haven't
don't
said
think-
that yet.
No, nobody said
No,
there was
nobody
gonna be
said
a.
that.
I know, but get it
They said they
fixed.
could talk about it.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get it fixed.
The adjustment will come down the road. We gotta figure out how we're gonna come up with enough money to get these lines fixed.
There's help out there that will
Oh,
help.
I know.
So that's where I am. There's other board members as well, but I want, I don't think that these folks didn't come at the prior board, did they?
Someone came to the
Some,
prior board,
there were some different faces than were here with the
but
last.
I'm more than willing to give them a.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've explained their situation. I think the right thing to do is to give them a little bit of time to research their end now that they have all the facts and figure out if it's feasible or not for them. That's just my opinion. I mean, others can speak up.
Yeah, I mean, you were trying to get an idea of timing, and I just say, you're losing so much water.
Well, that's,
I meant
I understand.
sooner, I get it, that sooner is better than
We've called
later.
people already, I tried to call one from mine and they won't even come. I ain't heard from nobody.
Right. Boy, then we called Robert.
I called Roberts is over there and they won't even answer me
All
back
they had
yet.
to do was come down and dig up his curb stop, because his curb stop,
It throws off.
the cap is gone, so it's right full of dirt, so you can't even get a key down in here to shut it off.
Are they individually curved or is it just the main curve?
No, they're all, most of them are individually curved.
But you don't know where the break is between the road curb and the main at the road and all the individuals.
There must be a puddle.
Well, yeah,
That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
there's a huge puddle out behind Rosati's, and he's got water running on his slab. And then you got the hot box
Oh,
up
under
there
the
leaking,
slab.
so.
I mean, I have some ideas, but I don't want to share them with, like, can you just abandon the existing infrastructure and put something
run new lines.
It's
Well, we
temporary.
could do that, but we still gotta dig it up.
Still gotta be dug up.
And we gotta shut the main water line off or we can't do anything. And so everybody in the park's gonna be without water, once we're fixing these water leaks.
And me and Ron, before Ron passed away, we put in almost, I think, 150 feet of brand new PEX 1.25 inch line because we ran it inside the old 2-inch line.
Yeah.
And I remember being out there and we had the park shut off for almost 3 days while we dug it up and
Running it through the existing
PEX
lines.
and everything. But again, time consuming. I mean, we wouldn't have to leave it off all day long, you know, you
Yeah.
shut it off later in the afternoon after people take the shower and go to work, and
Yeah.
give us a chance to work on it, and then we could, if we have to cap something, then just cap it and turn the water back on.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I don't know if the rest of the board is the same spot. I at least want to give them the opportunity to investigate. You know the costs, you know where we're at, you know some of the bigger issues, and let you guys have some time to just, is it feasible to even fix it?
But in the long run, if we get it all fixed and everything, is somebody gonna work with us about the back bill
Well,
if
that's what
we
you're
figure it
saying,
out?
but they hadn't talked about that, they're willing.
Alright.
We're willing to discuss it, because you gotta figure out where the averages were, you know?
Right.
And it's hard to find, we usually go back 4 quarters to find the average, but this has been a multi-year process, so you can't go back 4 years to find
Right.
where that is.
There's also a different number of people in the trailers every
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a contributing factor, yeah, you're right.
So how long does the board want to give?
Basically, I think what we're asking for is what is going to be the extension you're going to allow us.
What can you
Don't
do,
have our water shut.
I mean, what can you do in 2 weeks?
Depends how far you can get somebody to come help you do it. That's the main thing.
And that's, yeah, because everybody, all these big excavation companies, they want mucho dinero right up front.
I mean, I could probably shut the main water off, try to fix it underneath the slab, but main thing is I gotta have somebody come do it that's does the freaking water.
Yeah, it's gonna have a key.
And the other issue I would see for you guys, do you have permission from the landowner
I do.
to do it?
He does, and I pretty much do too, so.
All right.
I've been working with Debbie ever since Ron passed away.
Well,
And I gotta call her tomorrow.
you're gonna have to notify everybody if you're shutting them off.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
well, we always do. Me and Ron always do when we shut the water off there. So,
Is that, Joe, is that something that, can the town authorize that, or what is that?
Authorize.
The shut off they're talking about?
No, we're not involved.
You're not talking the main meter shut off, and you're talking somewhere else?
To have that cut
he's-
off, I'd prefer to have Debbie, if you guys want the main water shut off, please have Debbie call me.
okay.
That's the
That's
part.
the thing we gotta find out.
They were talking during.
Because we gotta shut the main water off before we even get to it.
Okay, yeah, don't touch the main, but if you guys want the main, have Debbie.
Notify you guys
Yeah,
first?
directly, yeah.
Alright.
And then we send a guy out to turn it off.
And then our guy will turn it
Our
off.
guy will turn it off.
And you
then
just tell us.
Tell
the
us, and our guy
time.
will turn it on when you're ready.
Okay.
Is it hard set that we only go back 4 quarters?
What the brand new policy said,
Well, that's a policy.
ordinance, the brand new ordinance says that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, another thought here while I'm thinking about it is even if how far back can you go in bills? Not that we're gonna use that can you go back 6 years?
Sure, we could go back, yeah, we can go back years and years and years.
So there's more people then, so it'll be higher than what we're
Yeah.
seeing now,
Yeah.
but at least it's.
But I want them to have a number.
Yeah,
If
right.
they go back 5 years, but it was still at that point $5,000 a month, I think you guys need to know that up ahead before you
We spend a lot of
try to
money.
do anything.
Right.
You know, 7 may just be a little blip. It may not be totally exaggerated for a number, and I think they should have that number before they.
Well, and you should also understand that you can fix those 3 leaks, and tomorrow there's another one,
That's the problem.
and you end up in the same spot if you
Pipeline
don't,
down there is so old.
if you don't replace all the pipelines. It looks like about $100 a day you're using in water. Quick math.
That'd be $3,000
That's
a month.
water and sewer.
That's
Water and
just
sewer.
about- That's just about right, yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's right now what you're saying?
If it was $100 a day times 30, that's 3,000 times 4, there's
Yeah.
almost $7,000, well, it's actually over, but
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from.
88.
So if we got you guys to shut the water off so we can fix this, how long would you guys have it shut off for?
Well, that's up to us, because what they're asking for is to have Debbie Collins have it shut off.
I know that,
When
but,
we do a project and it has to turn back on again.
well, we know a contractor, if we get somebody to help us with this, it's gonna take a day or so.
Yep.
So how long can we ask you guys to come, how soon can you guys shut that off at?
I mean, they can shut it off right now if we ask, but we can be on your schedule, but I would ask to be respectful of the town crew's time, not to call and say, hey, turn it off, hey, turn it off, hey, turn it off, because we're working on it. That's probably not gonna go over real well.
I agree. I agree, we should,
But I
mean,
still,
when we had, when they had Roberts up there fixing it last time, he shut it off, turned it back on himself.
Because he's certified.
You shouldn't have.
Oh, he's
No,
certified.
nobody should touch that curb with us.
He shut the whole park off.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't do that.
Aaron's crew is the only one that should be turning off the,
If there's a stop on their side that they own,
yeah, on the,
that'll be theirs.
Are they a stop on that side?
We don't have a stop on our side, not for the mains, we don't.
got it.
Ever since-
but I think you guys should also look, ask the town manager for some 5-10 year look back to see,
Yeah.
make sure it's not fairly accurate, and it wasn't $5,000 a month,
Right.
you know? Because when you're losing people, it should go down obviously, depending on the number of homes there, but just want you guys to have all the information so that you can
When
make a
can we get that
decision.
information?
I can pull it tomorrow, I can have it by the afternoon.
Alright.
If, dollars though wouldn't necessarily be a good
It's usage.
indicator, it'd be usage,
It's
so
usage.
gallons.
Usage.
It'd be gallons.
Well, we're just trying to see what it was before, if we had a big leak that started right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Joe can pull that for you guys, so you have a copy of that.
Yeah, I can.
So I mean, I think you guys, if you wanna move down there, Aaron, the board will take a look at it in probably a couple of weeks again.
Well, I think it's worth maybe checking in every 2 weeks so this
That's what I
doesn't
was thinking.
snowball.
Yep.
You don't all need to come, but
Send
maybe
an update every.
an update from someone.
Okay.
Alright.
But it can't be a ever-ending, there's gonna be some
Right.
decision, I think, at some point in time, whether it's from your eyes end saying that we can't afford it, or,
That's what I'm afraid of.
Or-
And realistically, that's what I'm really afraid of. That, I hate to say it, but it looks like eventually we all might have to move. That's-
and I don't know
and
what
I got
Joe,
And I got Jeff looking at me like saying, yeah, I know, that's the realistic. Might be
Yeah, but
bottom
it ain't
line.
if it's a change around, if somebody fixes the water leaks and try to upkeep some stuff around there and people pay the rent.
Yeah, but we don't have enough tenants in the park. There's not enough livable space in that park that up to code where somebody can move in and pay Debbie $4 or $5.50 a month to keep this thing going. It's just not there.
That,
The real estate.
I am afraid of that, yeah.
yeah, I would agree.
That's the realistic deal right here. That's the
Yeah.
bottom
I am
line.
afraid of that.
That's your end game, and that's where you're going.
That's-
Like, not to sugarcoat it, but that's the direction.
That's kind of the hard.
We're
Nobody's
not
gonna-
sugarcoating because we're not here to.
No, I know that, but I at least wanna give you times
I understand.
to gain together, to get if a plan or a plan doesn't come together, just give you guys some time to talk about that as a
If we
group.
figure out in 2 weeks that we just can't do it, then that's gonna be the end of the line right there, bro.
I mean, and if I were you guys, personally, I wouldn't fix it in the next 2 weeks. I would get some cost estimates, price on what it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
Then come back to the next meeting. and see
Because
what-
there's also the what was the back taxes? There's 22,000 in back taxes that
Yeah, see, we have.
Joe is
We have nothing to do with that.
probably in the process for tax sale on that.
That wouldn't surprise me.
So,
We've heard rumors of that too. that-
There's a lot of variables here. I would just be careful.
Yep.
I think probably getting a price estimate first and then come back and we'll have further conversation might be the better way to handle it.
Yeah.
But the end game could be that the parks closes. I don't know that.
But I think we wanna work with you guys if we can.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and we appreciate it. I'm just trying to be realistic, you know.
Yeah.
But we got here because nothing was coming in.
Right, I understand that. You know, you folks just said, you know, we got grant money, I think Joe said $30,000, like that.
And
And
it's,
that, of course, that money's gone. 'cause
But
that's for
a
the
lot of
tax
this
bill.
started
And
with
it's-
the wires.
what it's just not fair to the other people who do pay,
Right.
who are paying and are current, and the other people who didn't pay and we shut right off. I mean, we've been fairly strict on this policy, so just to, be upfront with you,
There were apartment buildings that shut off.
yeah.
You guys weren't the only one.
Yeah,
There
we
were
know, we
apartment
know.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I think we've,
I think we're pretty much covered.
Okay.
Yeah, everything.
All right, so we'll check back in 2 weeks,
Right.
see where you guys are at.
I'm sorry we didn't have better.
No, it's- So for now, the water will be left on? Am I hearing this correctly?
Do you need a
At least
vote
for
on
2
that,
weeks.
Joe, or? No,
It's on now for health order.
agreed.
Right,
All right. Thank you. Thank you all.
thanks for
But I
coming
mean,
in.
just, please check back in 2 weeks, because we want to make sure we're on the same page, and
Okay.
you guys might have different information at that point, and it's just not feasible, so,
Great.
but we'll check in 2 weeks.
Do they
Okay.
need to come to the meeting, or can they check in through Joe?
How would you like to do that?
What do you
If somebody
It's up
wanted
to
to
you.
give me a call, that would be fine with me.
So
It might save
another
me time.
question about the tax deal. So how much, quarterly payments is that?
It goes back to 2018.
Holy
So basically it's 21,000 owed on it since 2018 to now?
Is that
How much is it a year?
Is that the number that I said?
No,
22,723 in back
I
taxes.
don't know what it is.
I don't, Joe might have the assessment for it.
It's-
How much is it a year?
Well, the property assessment is 300,000 because of the land. The annual taxes currently are about $8,000 annually, which is about $2,000 a quarter.
Like 2.5 years.
So that's another,
So it's behind like 2.5 years.
yeah,
Probably 2 with fees, right?
yeah.
It's behind 4 years.
Oh, 4 years.
18.
Oh, okay, I get it, yeah.
Behind 4 years.
Just 4 years.
No, but the 22,000 is like 2 years. 2.5 years of non-pay, basically.
Anything else you guys need?
No.
No, okay, all right, we appreciate
Joe
it.
can get you pretty much
Alright, I can
anything,
stop by tomorrow.
Yep.
any of those numbers that you need.
In the afternoon though, please. I have 2 meetings in the morning and I won't have time. But I will get you all the information you need.
Alright.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Joe, there must be an organization we can liaison.
Thank you, Jeff.
See you guys.
Sorry we didn't have better news for you.
See you later.
That could work with these guys.
A couple years ago, we did bring in, when Apple Tree was going, when they
Yep.
were doing their thing, we spoke with that nonprofit as well as the Vermont Community Development Program to see if we could kind of tag team to get this park
Okay.
change hands and then improve, but
Yeah.
nobody jumped on it. The place is pretty rough.
Yeah.
It was gonna cost a lot of money to get
Okay.
it back to where it needs to be.
All right, moving on, new business, Build Back Better grant. Rutland Regional Planning Commission.
Tyler, are you still awake?
Still awake.
Hey, man.
I think we're ahead of schedule. He should be still late.
Yeah, so Tyler's here to talk about the Build Back Better program, the grant, and then answer any questions that you may have.
That's that handout you give?
So I believe a letter was sent earlier today, but really, I am happy to report. I have very little to report to you tonight to save you from a lot of boredom. But what we're really looking at tonight is an opportunity to look at some planning grants through EDA. We had a conversation with Joe and Mike Jones and the town of Poultney and Mike Jones from Castleton about creating a cold storage, docking and commercial workspace that would serve western Rutland County. This is really an idea that Joe has really championed and really brought to the group. for those who don't know, the Build Back Better grant through EVA has been funded pretty tremendously through the federal government, and we think this is an opportunity to really leverage that grant program for our county, and an ideal vehicle to fund this particular project. So really what we're asking for right now is an opportunity to investigate the process. So this particular grant it comes in two phases, planning and implementation. And so we're asking you to consider joining the application just in the support capacity through a letter of support for the first phase, which is a technical assistance 100% federal grant for a maximum amount of $500,000 for the planning phase of this proposed storage commercial docking space that would serve Fairhaven, Castleton, and Pulte primarily.
All right. Questions?
Tyler, Glenn Travers. So this facility, when I read the letter, am I right in understanding that it could be they're looking to possibly build this in Fairhaven, Castleton, or Pulte?
Yeah, I mean, really, and again, we're so early in this process. This is really a fact-finding initial grant portion. I'm sorry, so sorry for my dogs. But yes, that would be the proposal. Would be built in one of those green areas, and we would just the first phase of the grant would be determining sort of how to approach that and where that would be built.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Other questions?
When can we build it in Fairhaven?
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
right. When we start construction would be what that. So what you're basically looking for, though, is just a letter of support. We're not spending any money here. It's just a letter of support saying, hey, we really believe this is a good thing to do, and we'd love to have it in Fairhaven. But this is a great thing for either Fairhaven, Castleton, or Pulte.
Yeah, bottom line, we really think this is a big idea. This could potentially be a 5-year, 10-year idea. There's big money out there to chase it right now. And the best way, I think, to do that would be to think more cooperatively among the regions. And now's the time to see how we can leverage some of these resources that have been generated through this terrible pandemic.
Yep, that's great.
All right.
So what else do we have to do? Do we have to provide a inventory, or is this the planning function is to identify the inventory?
I think the initial phase is the initial phase of the planning function would be to identify that inventory. So right now, what we're needing is just an understanding from the Selectboard that we're going to move forward with this conceptually to apply for a grant. And essentially just sign a letter of support saying, we're in for the application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion that we sign a letter of support for the application.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Glenn, second by Jeff to support the project with a letter. Questions on that? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, Tyler.
All right, thank you all, and I appreciate you letting me crash your party.
Yep.
Thanks,
problem.
Tyler.
Okay, Aaron's up for some sand and gravel bids. What do you got?
We received 0. We had multiple communication breakdown for vendors who not received their bid request, and one that actually missed the deadline, just because. I have reached out to most of the vendors, and they're all would definitely like an extension and a re-invite to bid on it. So that's where we would like to proceed.
So,
2 weeks.
2 weeks, plenty. So is there a motion to table? So
Motion. 2 weeks.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Jeff, seconded by Glenn to table the sand and gravel bids till the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Cemetery deeds?
Okay, we have 4 cemetery deeds. I want to make a motion to approve the sale of lot 102 in section 11 in Cedar Grove Cemetery to Ronald Jasmine.
Is there a second? Motion by Glenn, seconded by Jeff. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Would like to make a motion to approve the sale of lot 101 in section 11 in Cedar Grove Cemetery to Julie Jasmine.
Second.
Motion by Glenn, seconded by Jeff.
I'll just.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Sorry.
Just want to stack up with the.
Motion to approve the sale of lot 115 in section 11 in Cedar Grove Cemetery to Mary A. Liddy.
Okay, is there a second?
Aye.
Motion by Glenn, seconded by Jeff for the
That was the second, sorry.
115 in section what?
11.
11.
Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries.
Hey Glenn, shorten up on the tail.
I was just looking at it.
Go underneath if you want. Go underneath.
Motion to approve the sale of lot 99 and 100 in section 11 in Cedar Grove Cemetery to Annette Loso.
Second.
Motion by Glenn, seconded by Jeff for that cemetery lot. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries.
I shortened the tail on the last.
Okay, thank you.
You did a lot on that one.
They're gonna wonder who signed it. I'm gonna add your tail back in. With a different color.
No, I'll call him. Oh.
All right, next
Thank
item,
you.
select board meeting times.
A question came to me, it says, well, why are these meetings so late, and then why do they go so late?
From who?
Residents.
Oh, wow.
She was wondering, could we talk about meeting times at this meeting? Possibly changing the time the board of selectmen met. So here we are.
Yes, we had this conversation at the beginning.
Yes.
At the beginning, yeah.
But what about, I mean, it's winter, so it's dark early, cold early. Could we be open to changing them for winter and going, I know you were concerned about your selling, but is winter different?
Well, it's, as of October 1st, we close at 5. So we could pull up an hour. Right, that still gives me time to get home and.
Is the problem that we're trying to solve so that people can attend the meetings? I say I'm retired. I can be here anytime, so I don't care what time we meet. But I'm very sensitive to people who are working and want to go home, want to have dinner, and then come back out. So I'm
gonna stay strong where we are. I mean, I'd go half an hour later if you want.
I just.
I'll let that space in
You're out of order.
I know. But it's up to the board. There are days I struggle to get here at the 7th.
Yeah, me too, at this time of the year.
The reason the only reason I would even consider changing the time is if I thought it would. People who wanted to be on this board felt it was too late because of they would go to bed or whatever. So I just I think the time.
And I think as far as running
It's
so
pretty
late, I think we are pretty lenient with our public comment, and sometimes our meetings run
Sometimes things come up.
which is, I
Yeah.
think,
Okay.
a good thing.
But that's just my opinion. Like I said, I can be here anytime, but I'm sensitive to people that are doing other things and have trouble getting here. That's all.
I mean, you guys can do the first quarter without me if you want.
We probably get the whole thing done.
You might, I don't.
All right, is that enough feedback, Jeff?
That's enough feedback.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So, we ended it with 7 stays?
I don't know, did we?
It sounded like it.
Okay.
Well,
I did,
mean,
I don't know what you guys did.
I heard Jeff say 7 works good. I heard somebody say that they want to be here earlier. I'm kind of a traditionalist when I go, has 7 o'clock been the time forever? And what's the thing pushing us to change it now?
Well, one thing for me, and I like keeping it, but when I saw adjourn at 10:35, and I'm thinking it's -20 outside, you gotta get home, no thank you.
But
You know.
Well, it's not, normally it's about 9, but it's
We
a point
haven't gotten
taken.
home at 9 and months.
There's been some
It's
big
always
issues.
10 or later, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think it is late.
No, I think we can be, I believe we can be more efficient with our 5 minutes for public comment, and sometimes we talk for a
We go
half
on.
hour, and sometimes it's the same thing over and over again. I think we talk the dog park every meeting now, and I don't believe we should be talking that at every meeting. We've got other things to do, quite frankly. So I think if we come back and look, when we had our first meeting this year, I was trying to get everyone convinced that an hour should not go over, we should not go over 2 hours in a meeting. If we do, we did something wrong.
2 hours too long, it's too long.
So we'll try, being sensitive to getting out of here at a decent hour, I think we should all, I'd recommend we try that.
Yours is probably 2.5 hours.
Okay, let's stop talking about it.
Yeah, there we go. Parking lot, any parking lot items? What happened to 10?
Oh,
10 is policies.
Typo?
Yeah, no, I forgot to put it in there. So there is a policy in your packet,
Okay. I was
to
confused.
look at, but
We'll look at it.
We'll look at it for next meeting.
yeah.
Because if it's not on the agenda, we can't technically talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're gonna table 10. Parking lot.
There's nothing new on mine.
Alright. Board roundtable.
I addressed mine with Aaron on his stuff, so I'm good.
And mine was gonna be the Munger Road and the Class 4 road and it being gated.
Yeah, there we go.
That still keeps coming back, and Munger Road, I'd like to see it when we get an opportunity. I know we've had full agendas, but one way or another, either decide that we're gonna ignore and not do anything, okay? Or we're gonna
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah, I do have a question or a comment or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know how we follow up on things as a board, so an example of that would be the chief mentioning that he thought one of those, flashing lights down at the bottom of the dip, and then we don't ever mention it again. Quite a few things happen like that. How do we know? Is that a go? We all said, yeah, that's a good idea, but is it happening?
It's a good point.
So things like that, if it hits the big blue list, it usually gets done rather quickly, but things are so backed up. That in particular, that's on a list of things to do, just like the rejiggering of the yield sign up here. It's not that anything gets forgotten, it's just there are so many things getting done at the same time, we just don't have staff and manpower and money to do it all.
I guess that kind of goes back to then the project list, because I didn't know that you particularly had a list of things that probably aren't gonna get done right away, but, so, I mean, some of them are good ideas, they just kind of get To me, get lost along the way.
No, they don't. They do end up on the list. And so if you come into my office on my desk right here, there's a blue list, a big blue list, and then there's the yellow list for DPW. If you hit the big blue list, you hit the big time, because that will probably get done sooner rather than later.
Okay.
So can we turn that into like a memo, just so we know what's going on?
Well, that's what the roundup is for. I am working on tax sales and water stuff and light stuff and, that's what the weekly, this is what we did and this is what we're doing list is.
No, I get that. It's the, how long
Pending projects.
do I need to wait on this one? Okay.
I would like to do that. I will get you a list.
Or just
On the list
that
again.
particular example, everyone said good idea, but nobody said, we'll get that on a list and we'll look to it for the future. I guess I just feel like nothing's really tied up.
Does it,
So if we could get
does it need to
that
be
part.
like on the agenda, you mean?
No, but I
No.
just wanna know if it's happening, if it's not happening, if it might happen, that's all.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really have any money right now, right?
No.
That's fine, but I mean,
No, but it's just a matter of doing the research and who does the research and then reaching out to the state and then who reaches out to the state. It's not just go do it, there's a whole planning phase involved. But I will provide a list to the board.
Speaking of lists, so, I mean, last meet, I actually have a board roundtable. So last meeting when Mr. Potowski was here, I did go over,
that's my other thing.
I did go over and look at it, and yes, the manhole is fine, structural, but there is, I would say, some rough parts before you hit the manhole in the pavement. Nothing Aaron's done, nothing anybody else has done, it's there.
Isn't it
Needs
raised?
some
There's,
cold patch.
there's some imperfections there, and, you know, I get vibration at my house I know what the trucks he's talking about, I get vibration at my house. So if they're actually hitting a part of the road, because he says it really only happens a lot when they're over more towards the center line. And if you look at that center line, there is indentations right before which could totally be,
Okay, now,
Vibrating.
I've knowingly gone, consciously driven on it,
Yeah.
and it seemed like the pavement is raised up
Yeah.
slightly, it's actually a raised circle around the cover. And like maybe it was when it was paved over and then it was chopped out, there was a ring left. And, I'm slowing down, but I can imagine that a fully loaded truck, that tire smacks the lid, and bounces.
Yeah, to your point, I went over.
Yeah.
It looks like the cover is flush, it's not rocking, it feels like it's sealed pretty good, but it sits down, so I can see. The other thing I see, I try knowing that every time I go by, I try to miss it, but the problem is, there's cars parked, and you can't, there's a car usually parked right there where you have to go and hit it, because there's a car parked
yeah.
on the side of the road. But I noticed just above that, when he was talking about the next couple houses down,
Yeah.
it needs a little cold patch, because that one right there, I could see someone saying, it's starting to break up. It hasn't gotten real bad yet, but it's starting to break up.
I'm not saying there's anything that we can do one or the other, but I can see where he's probably getting vibration, because like I said, I get it in my house where there's no issues like that. I mean, if you hit that probably a good 10 feet before the manhole, I mean, you're gonna get vibration through there. But, like I said, I don't know if anything you can do or not with it, but I could see it a little bit why he's getting it.
I'm sure, and we've worked with Mr.
Pinkowski.
Pinkowski. Again, we spent a lot of money rebuilding the manholes,
Yep.
tarred over the manholes, and then untarred the manholes, and really nothing we did help. So it really is.
But that's not necessarily a reason to stop trying. We just haven't found it yet, right? 2024 is.
I think when they do the whole thing, I think that gap problem would get solved.
I mean, the other question I asked Joe this, is it a speed issue with those trucks through the area there? Are they going too fast through town?
80,000 pounds, 30 miles an hour process.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah,
Yeah, it is.
if it had to be a triaxle trailer, they're going to hit any murder.
Is there any way to slow those trucks down through town? I don't know.
We can change that ordinance.
A few years, just not that many years ago, we changed the ordinance to 25 miles an hour, had a petition, had to put it back.
Just for trucks, not for all
What it
vehicles.
was.
I don't think you can do that.
125 Thursday.
Oh,
Well, that's been,
We did, remember they did.
Just for trucks. Can you do that in Vermont?
I didn't think you
In
could.
Michigan, I've seen it.
Well,
Not
On the highways.
The highway,
you
there's-
can have a maximum minimum, but it doesn't, it's not trucks and cars
But I mean,
in Vermont.
you effectively drop it to that minimum, to that truck maximum, because they're gonna slow down the rest, aren't they? So what's the point on a one-lane road?
yeah, I don't
We
know.
had 25 mile an hour speed limit there.
So that was just my follow-up for board roundtable. I don't know if there's anything we can do with it, but
We do have the cart is gonna go out there.
you want a speed car?
Yeah, speed car's gonna be done, and see if we can slow it down.
Good. All right, anybody else for roundtable?
I guess we could try like just a,
Come on,
could we do a temporary 25 and see for like, a week and see how, if his house still shook? If it helped?
Probably.
Before you change speed.
I would, yeah.
It's it's just one step more than their speed test strips, so we're just trying it. Anyway, whatever.
All right, anybody else?
Have we, I should have asked this in the last part, but have we done anything on the tax stabilization? Is that coming? It's just sitting now. Is it gonna come back?
Oh, it hasn't been, from the time you saw it, we've done,
More.
changed it quite a bit, got some frequently asked questions, and
Okay.
the game plan hopefully is sometime in late October.
Okay.
I'm looking to Joe's, I believe we'll have that one back for you to look and say,
Yeah, you're
here's
right.
here's what we put together.
Because I thought it would be nice to lead the pack on your grant with tax stabilization for that new thing.
That new plant coming in. with the-
I don't want to be like, oh, what are we gonna
Oh,
do?
that's very brilliant.
Yeah. So
I wanna
comes here
be-
instead of Castleton or Bolton. No, I'm just
Well,
picking.
I mean, it is though. We're kind of fighting over these businesses. I mean, we're working together to get them to the area,
We're working together.
but let's get them here. Right?
And if we had some town-owned land that we could put that on, that all the better for incentivizing a business to come in. But yes, it's on its way.
Oh, perfect.
We've got one piece of land, that was the railroad thing.
I'll quit bothering you.
Anybody else?
No.
All right, moving on. Jeff, financial report?
Checkbook is $283,176.73. Motion to pay the payroll warrant, $32,764.13.
Second.
Okay, motion by Jeff, seconded by Glenn for the payroll warrant. Questions on that? Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
And motion paid the general fund warrant, $32,909.85.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Jeff, seconded by Glenn. Questions on that?
Seemed to be low.
It's
but
low.
That was good, but that was.
That's where
it
I'm
was-
expecting it to be.
Yeah, no, but that's good.
Summer stuff is kind of,
Yeah, let's hold the
Meeting out.
line there, Joe.
Yeah, what, the 44,000? Yeah.
32.
No, 32 for payroll. That's
Oh,
the-
no,
that's
no,
the one I
no,
was.
32 for,
32,909.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that
but
was,
it's also 32 for payroll.
yeah, yeah.
as I started to stammer a little bit, we can expect payroll to come down. Bev has officially retired, so we're not double paying, that. And then all of our summer help are now trickling out.
That's,
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Motion carries. Executive session, I'm gonna do personnel.
Yep.
Second, can we do civil litigation to include the health officer and the town manager? We'll do that one first.
Okay. I'll make a motion to go in executive session to do civil litigation, 1 VSA 313A1, to include a health officer. Can I also make a motion for, or do I?
Yeah, and the town manager.
And the town manager?
Yep.
And then we can do the personnel.
Okay, is there a second for,
Second.
motion by Glenn, seconded by Jeff. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Okay, and then there's a next
I'll
one.
make another motion to go in executive session for personnel 1 VSA 313A3.
To include the town manager.
To include the town manager,
Yeah.
yes.
Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Glenn was first, Carol was second. All in favor of that motion?
Right.
Say
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
We're go-